Hello, hello. Welcome to the 20th live stream. That's 20. Who'd have thought? To be honest, when I started doing this channel, I didn't really think about how many live streams I'd do. I originally thought I'd do quite a few tutorials and things, but they tend to take a little bit more time to set up, plan, edit especially. So I've been tending to do more live streams than other things, but just wanted to say a massive thank you to all those people who have subscribed. Close to 1,500 subscribers now, very close. Just going to push over into that hopefully soon. And the channel itself has probably got more than 80 different videos on it now, which is great. Some of those are tutorials if you're joining this for the first time or you've seen it come up because the algorithm thinks you like adventure games. Then yeah, I would really welcome you to subscribe and like and leave comments on things. There's quite a few other things on the channel, but because this is the 20th one, I'd start with a little bit of promotion because it's been a great journey so far and I'm hoping that we can do some more. So this is the channel. You're probably watching this on YouTube anyway, but it does go out live on Twitch as well. And there are loads of other videos, tutorials here that have got different thumbnails for things in Sprite, for things in Adventure Creator that are often ideas or requests from people who are watching live streams of things that they'd like to see more of. So lots of different stuff on the channel. Please help yourself to all of that, basically. So tonight's live stream, as it said earlier on the community post, is going to be to do with a set of puzzles, like a puzzle chain, through the second part of the game that I'm making. So there's been the last couple of weeks I've been working on bits of artwork that are to do with funky monkeys on the channel. Actually, there's a time lapse here originally of this being drawn, starting off with like SketchUp, because I often do that for blocking out 3D stuff just to give a sense of the right perspective and things when I'm doing a scene that's going to have multiple views on the same scene. I'll whiz that forward a bit, but you can see it ends up being like a side alley and a front car park. That then all got made into pixel art. I'm not sure which live stream it was on, but I'll tell you what, I'll just flick over to it. Let's have a look. Find it now. Let's have a look. Typically, well, we've got them in Unity here actually. There you go. So this is what the scene ended up looking like from that front view once I'd kind of drawn over it all as pixel art. And this is a screenshot from Unity, so there's also a couple of other bits of lighting going on here as well. So we're dealing with a scene that, or an area, I suppose, that has got two scenes, the car park at the front and the side alley at the side. So tonight's stream really is talking through my thought process of the puzzle chain that gets you out of this area. Ultimately, in the story, you're arriving at this place because you think there's some kind of secret meeting happening at it in the middle of the night. And then when you get there, it doesn't look like there's anyone home. The intercom's not raising anybody, but you can see that there's a light on. There's definitely somebody in there. When you go around the side, it's kind of confirmed there's definitely people in there. And this ladder is the only way to get up onto the roof. So it's one of these kind of fire escape stored ladders that would be, you'd let it down from the roof side. So because it's packed up, you can't quite reach it. In devising this puzzle, I think on last week's live stream, I did the two variants of this ladder in up and down state. But actually, I've had to make Clive quite small there. I think I'm going to have to make it higher so it seems more reasonable that it's out of reach, whilst it is a kind of silly cartoon game. you'd kind of be thinking, well, just jump, you'd be able to reach it. So I think I have to redraw that. Not that it's difficult to draw a ladder like that, it's a few pixels, but I think I'm gonna have to sort that out so it's just more out of reach. I also noticed in just preparing for this live stream, I forgot to draw it on there, so it's missing. So that needs adding into that scene as well. So the process here really is starting from the end. So the challenge for the player is the ladder is stored and it's out of reach. And I suppose in someone's mind that gives you two options. You either need to get higher or you need to extend your reach. So it's a fairly simple thought process, I guess, for the player, where they know that one of those two things is going to help them, making themselves taller or extending their reach. So a few things sprang to mind originally when I was thinking of this puzzle. These kind of things that you would have seen in other adventure games, I guess. So you either need some kind of hooked pole to reach the ladder and pull it down, which is kind of the first option. Maybe that's a way to solve it. Potentially move the dumpster. Certainly if you were playing a modern action RPG or something, they always have something you drag or push to climb up somewhere. I've been playing Banishers recently, which was very good. There's an awful lot of pulling carts about to stand on them to climb up things, but maybe that doesn't quite fit the point and click thing, and importantly, it's not that fun either. I think it's just, it feels too simple. Perhaps as another option, we build something to climb onto, so we stack up a couple of things maybe to climb onto to reach that. On that idea of extending your reach, maybe you find a bit of rope or something that's like rope and some kind of grappling hook or something you make out of a couple of other items that's a grappling hook that you then throw up onto that bottom rung to pull it down. So there's obviously loads of different ways that we could go about solving that puzzle. But when I try and write these puzzles, I take on board all the stuff that Ron Gilbert said in his Grumpy Gamer blog. There's like a puzzle dependency chart thing that I've banged on about quite a few times on this channel, where you kind of start with the problem, which is needing to get that ladder down or needing to get up to the ladder. And then you kind of work backwards and add complexity as you go based on a couple of factors. And in the case of an indie solo developer like me, one of the key factors to think about is how long it will take to make that puzzle chain, whether it then, because of the decisions you make about what each of the puzzle pieces are, does that mean you've got to draw some new stuff? Is that just drawing a couple of new items, which might take half an hour? Is it drawing a whole new location? Importantly, is it drawing a load of animation? Is it a load of stuff that needs animating when he does this action at the end to pull this down? If you think about like a hooked pole, I've already got an animation of him like reaching up to get things off shelves, so I'd just stick a pole in his hand and that would make that simpler, so that wouldn't give me a huge amount of work. If you need to build something to climb onto, then I've got animations of Clive bending down, so popping inventory items down, that again wouldn't be a huge amount of work. I could stack up a few things, but then we'd have to have some kind of animation, I guess, of him stepping up onto those things. Or we take the kind of design pattern, I suppose, from games like The Drifter, a bit more modern point and click, where in some of the instances where it would have meant that development team, and I think that was maybe a solo or a couple of people who made it, to save them drawing lots of animation of the main character, they would kind of fade to black and put lots of sound effects of that thing happening, and then the scene would come back and the thing would be there. So I could take that option, that methodology of doing it. But I do think it's quite nice when, especially if you've got a multi-part puzzle chain, that there is a reward for the players ultimately. when you've been playing a point and click for quite a while, I'll just bring this up in Unity. When you've been playing a point and click for quite a while, you do a bit of walking about. So you get to see the character like walking about quite a lot. When you click on things, you get like talk animations and things like that. But I think it's quite nice if a player's gone to the trouble of working out what gets used with what and solves a puzzle, that there's like a little reward, effectively, like an achievement for doing that. And I think it's only fair, to be honest, that me as the developer, or you as the developer, if you're making your own game, you spend a little bit of time doing something like a nice little bit of animation that gives the player a reward for all the work they put in. I think that's kind of nice. That's a nice way to think about development sometimes. They do jump through all these hoops, you give them something nice. So I'm not against doing a kind of reward and some kind of fun animation when they solve that puzzle chain. So that's not out of the question. I'm kind of leaning towards that, you'll see, as this discussion goes on. So all of these options, they end up generating, I suppose, a certain amount of extra work that I need to do. The absolute simplest thing, and I thought about these, I'll zoom out a little bit, I've thought about some of these. The simplest thing that I could have done, I started drawing this thing of like, how, when you've only got two locations, how many different things, how many different bits get used in different places. And something complex like that's actually quite nice, reusing a place, reusing an item more than once, combining an item with something else to make something else. Especially when you're going between two screens, it can't be too laborious because it'll be a bit boring. And that's kind of highlighted to me a couple of other things, that the simplest thing I could do is that in this little bin, or one of the like dumpsters, you could actually just find the item that you need to pull that down. So my original thought of this was like a broken umbrella. So it has a little hook on it. It's long enough that Clive can go up on his tiptoes. I reuse the animation of Clive on his tiptoes, hooks it with an umbrella and pulls it down. And for me, as the developer, that would be really, really easy, really straightforward, and would kind of be done in about an hour and a half of getting the person from these two scenes onto the next scene, which is actually up on the roof. I think if you've been following along, probably seen that scene as well. And in itself, the rooftop is again a bit like, I suppose, a little mini reward, because you achieve the puzzle and then you end up in a new location where there's some other interesting things to see. So once you get up that ladder, you end up here on the roof, and there's lots of other things to do and see up here, and that progresses the story. So these took a while to draw. You will have seen some of them in live streams probably, and you might have seen some of the time lapses of some of these that I did. I've not done a time lapse for a while actually. I tend to end up drawing these on live streams. So some of the work, I guess, that went into this, it kind of would be a little bit wasted if I was to give them a puzzle that was solved within a couple of clicks. I'm just going to grab a little screen grab of this actually, pop it into my Figma board. Again, if it's the first time you've joined me on this, then this is Figma, the free version of Figma, which I use for kind of all my puzzle chains in the different acts, and dialogue when I'm first planning the dialogue and things, different dialogue options. So I dump a load of stuff in here to help me plan it, and then actually this was like the workload that I originally thought. I haven't looked at this for a while actually. 3 characters, Clive, Tyler, a customer, done all of them now. The others, I haven't learned about the others yet, but there's some talking specific animations to do. I reckon 20 items, I think there might be more than that in the game. And these were the locations: main shop floor, staff kitchen, office, storeroom, the secret room, exterior of the soft play. This is Funky Monkeys, reception. I'm not actually doing reception anymore. Side alley, rooftop, soft play area. So it's quite a short, compact game. But when these two locations make up kind of a quarter of the whole game, it would be a bit of a waste if the puzzle was that simple. So we want to try and flesh out that puzzle, not so it's ridiculous. We're not talking like one of the Broken Sword games where it's just a load of ridiculous combinations of items, but the general humour of this game as well is something that I think it's worthwhile having some silliness to the result. So I started thinking about maybe we extend this location and have something that I've not actually done in the game yet, which is the potential for like a first-person view. And that is when you peek into one of the dumpsters, or potentially both of the dumpsters, so you get to see kind of Clive's eye view, and then you can click on items. And then it kind of dawned on me as well when I started thinking about solutions to like a puzzle chain. This is Clive's car, and he mentions it at the start when he gets out, and it's his trusty Vauxhall Cavalier. It's like an old car. So there's also the option that perhaps there's some things in his boot, or his trunk if you're American. So that kind of opens up a couple of ideas as well, and works quite well with one of the mechanics that a lot of point and click games use, which is you start in this scene, you're naturally led to go down the alley, and only when you find the problem, in this case the ladder, do you then think, oh, I should go back to the other scene and look for something. So that can be prompted by the character. So I'm thinking Clive might say, oh, I've perhaps got something in my car boot that could help. So then you wouldn't have been able to click on the car boot until you've done that. So we're kind of holding back bits of interaction in that scene until the character and the player make a realization that there might be something else in the other scene that's useful. So those kind of things in the puzzle chain that make a new thing available because of a thought that the characters had. So I'm thinking about that as well. And I ended up coming up with a combination of these different things that might flesh out that puzzle chain, give the player some more time to appreciate the pixel art and the locations here, and build kind of a funnier crescendo than just reaching up and grabbing it with an umbrella, which frankly I think is a bit of a cop-out, to be honest. So all of those things like build together in my mind that I want people to spend a little bit longer in this area to enjoy it. I want it to be a kind of silly combination of things that's a bit like ridiculous, but then it ends up with something kind of funny as the payoff, and that's a bit of a reward that I end up having to do a bit of animation for that to make, to say thank you to the player for going through that thing. And then they ultimately end up up onto the roof, because we're getting towards the end of the story at this point. We're certainly not getting to the end of the development, by the way. I'm doing this I'm jumping around every live stream to try and keep things interesting, and to try and not reveal the entire story. So this should, I think, culminate in a puzzle that'll keep people busy over these two things, but not get people annoyed. So I've got this puzzle chain here, and I suppose I will say now, spoiler alert, if you don't want to know what the solution to this puzzle chain is going to be, then I guess don't watch the rest of this live stream. But it would be really nice if you just left it playing in a back room or something, so I still get the viewing hours. This is, I think, what I'm going to do as the final puzzle. I've got an option for myself to give myself a little bit less work to do, but to be totally honest, the option, it's a small amount of work. It's going to involve me having to draw some new things. It's going to involve me having to animate some things, but I think it's going to just fill out this section of the game quite nicely. It was really short before. There was basically I wrote down puzzle to get ladder down, up on roof, and then you're out of that scene. So it needed fleshing out. It needed severely fleshing out, really. So this is what we had. Arrives outside Funky Monkeys. There's an intercom system at the front. All the lights are out. It's locked up, but a dim light can be seen at the side of the building. Head down alleyway. I can see there's a light on. Puzzle chain to climb up on the roof. So any good puzzle chain should have a few different branches to it. We always start at the end, and the last thing here is use hooked pole to pull down ladder. Now, that would have been a bit of a cop-out if it was find pole, find hook, combine. That's just one step further than the umbrella bit. It's like you either find an item complete and just use it, or you find two things, combine them in the item that you need and just use it, or you find three things and combine them. But again, I think that's a bit lazy when you start getting multiple ingredients to try and do it, especially if you've only got two scenes to go between. So I thought something a bit more ridiculous, a bit more funny to see Clive doing, and this is how I'm hoping it's all going to play out. So on his old car, I'm going to add a little graphic in that is aerial, is a coat hanger. It's going to be here. So if you're old enough to remember when car aerials used to stick out the bonnet, an old car like a Vauxhall Cavalier, if your aerial got snapped off by some local hoodlum, a lot of people would just get a wire coat hanger and stick it in there. So little in-joke for the older people, he'll have a wire coat hanger as his car aerial. So that's kind of one of the objects we're going to be able to use. So you'll be able to pick that up, you'll get hold of that. There's a drain in the front. So this is the first part of the chain, I guess, the branch of the chain. There's a drain at the front of Funky Monkeys on the floor down there. So when you look at the drain, classic puzzle. I actually had to do this for a friend in real life. It actually happened in real life. I got a phone call from a mate who was a DJ, and he was DJing in town, and he messaged me and said, "You couldn't come and bring a wire coat hanger to this club in town." I said, "Well, what's happened?" He said, "I've got out my van, loaded my gear in. He's due on stage in, it was about like an hour or something. And then he dropped his keys, like it was at the back of his car. He dropped his keys down a drain and couldn't unlock the van to get the last bits of his gear out. So I had to go and get a coat hanger and help him fish his keys out the drain." So we're going to use that life story as a puzzle. So what we'll have is in that drain, if you look at it, there'll be something shining in the drain. Not sure what it is yet, but if you get the coat hanger and you stick it down the drain, you'll pull out what is a little set of keys that says bins on it. So it's obvious it's a bin key that's going to be used on one of the bins. So coming back to the chain, so we use the coat hanger on the drain and we get the dumpster keys. So the dumpster, there's two of them. One of them is going to be open, not wide open. You'll be able to open it. We did a little animation of that, I think, in one of the other live streams. Oh, we certainly did the different states, open and closed. I'm going to have to do it with that lid as well now, which I know is a problem because of the light. I talked about all that at the time, and I've set myself up for this now. So yes, you'll be able to open that one. You'll be able to look in that one, but the other one will be locked. So it doesn't matter which order you do that in. You're going to find the dumpster key, which will open the left-hand side one. So you'll be able to open the left-hand side one as well. The right-hand side one is part of the other branch. So you open the right-hand side dumpster, and this is where I'm thinking of having like an internal dumpster shot as well. So a first-person view of what Clive sees in that dumpster, and then you could maybe click on a couple of the trash bags and they move, and then you see a snapped broom handle. So it's not particularly long, but it's like a handle long enough that if you added a hook to it, the coat hanger, you'd have a little hookable thing, but it's still not long enough to reach the ladder. So that is kind of a way of building some anticipation that a player, thinks they've found the solution. So you're giving them little, I suppose, drops of endorphin, like, oh, there's the broom handle, yeah, I'll be able to use that with the hook. Will I be able to use that with the coat hook? That and the coat hanger makes a hooked stick. Brilliant, I can go and get the ladder. Clive tries to do it and still can't reach it. So it's this kind of reward, and then you snatch away from them just at the last minute. That's not quite the solution. So they're like, oh, I need something else then. So that idea is that either at that point, once you've made the broom handle and added the coat hanger to it, you will have also got the keys, probably, if you've used the coat hanger on the drain and found the keys and then opened up the other dumpster. So you'll be able to get both dumpsters. So if you open the left-hand side locked dumpster, again, we'll reuse the graphics that we drew for the internal dumpster shot because they're both going to look pretty much the same. There'll be some other muck and other bags and rubbish in there and things. And there's going to be a wooden monkey head, like off a sign, a bit like the one at the front of the shop. So similar to this one here, like a big head, which if you haven't already got a certain length down the puzzle chain, won't make much sense, which is great because you end up picking up a weird item that you don't really know what to use it for. It does then put the onus on me to do quite a few little variable checks as we're doing all this in Adventure Creator so that Clive can respond in different ways to that monkey head, for example, depending on how much of the puzzle he already knows about and the player already knows about. So that monkey head is like a piece of wood, basically, like quite a solid piece of wood. And if you're all the way down the end of the puzzle chain and you've already got the other bits that you need, then suddenly finding a nice solid piece of wood will be like, oh, brilliant, that's what I use for that. But if you're at the start of the puzzle chain and you find it, you'll be like, why the hell have I got a wooden monkey head? Which is perfect. They're the kind of puzzles that work really well. So that's that monkey head, solid MDF. The other part that we need, and this was coming back to how I started this live stream, really just recapping this puzzle. I had all these ideas about needing a hooked pole, build something to climb on or stack items onto. I didn't really want to do this like dumpster moving thing. I wasn't keen on that at all. Because it's just, again, it's a bit I guess cliche to a lot of other games. You just slide the dumpster and climb on it, so I decided not to do that. This idea of stacking items to climb onto would have been, I don't know, it starts to get a bit too realistic, and that's another problem I think with puzzle games. Sometimes you make them too, or I have a definite problem with this. Same with Polycity Stories, if you've looked at one of my other games, where I start getting hung up on real life, and it's like, oh, well, you would just do this instead. I think if you took real life to some of life's greatest bits of art and entertainment, like Indiana Jones and things like that, if real life gets in the way, it becomes not fun. So building a stack of items, like going, okay, let's just get all of these things here and stack them up, let's push the dumpster, they're all just, I suppose, too real life. So I thought what would be really silly is him saying, oh, I've got something in my boot that might help. And then we actually have a scene where you go to the boot. I've just been collecting some photographs now off the stock. So you get like a little first person view like that of his boot. And it also gives me an opportunity to kind of tell the player more about Clive based on the things he has in his boot, because that could be quite funny. He's quite like a particular man, quite like OCD, likes things organised, likes he's a bit of a plain man as well, prefers beige carpet, likes a sandwich without mayonnaise, these kinds of things. So all of those bits about him, the boot, the things in his boot can tell a bit of that story. And then ultimately the puzzle item that you need, you'll be able to pick up some of the other red herring bits as always, is noticing the corner of the kind of boot carpet or trunk carpet, clicking that and it peels back to show a car jack. So a car jack naturally being something that you can jack up, and again in real life they don't jack that far, But I think this is a great opportunity for that kind of cartoon element of that, for Clive to use the car jack to make himself higher. And there's also an internal dumpster photograph that I was just looking at earlier, thinking about how we're going to do that. So all of these things together then, what we're effectively doing is we use the coat hanger to get the dumpster keys, we open the dumpster and we get the wooden monkey head. The other dumpster that's already open, we get a snapped broom handle from it. Once we've used the coat hanger to get the keys out the drain, we can make the hook for that. When he mentions how high it is, you go in, peel back the corner of the carpet in the boot and get the car jack, and then you use the car jack on the ladder. Clive puts the car jack on the floor, but because the top of the car jack's really small, you need a platform or something to put on top of it so that he can balance on it. So of course that's where the wooden monkey head comes in, and you use the car jack. It's a makeshift lift, so he pulls the handle and up he goes a little bit, which puts him really close to the ladder, just out of reach of it, at which point he then gets the broom handle and the coat hanger to make a hooked pole to hook the bottom of the ladder and pull it down. So it is a convoluted but hopefully funny and fun puzzle chain that ultimately leads you to release the fire escape ladder, and that gets us there. Good evening, Chris. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining. Just going through the whole puzzle chain as a bit of a reveal for the Funky Monkeys side alley rooftop puzzle. So with you joining a little bit later on, whiz back after this and have a look at the early bits of the live stream. So all of that said, the last half an hour of blocking out where that puzzle is going to go and why, it does create a load of new bits of work that need to be done, but I think it's worth it for all the reasons I mentioned. I want the players to enjoy these scenes for a little bit longer than just finding an item to pull the ladder down. I actually want to extend these two scenes so you're not just dealing with two locations by having the trunk of the car effectively as a location. That adds a location. By being able to look in the dumpsters and seeing the dumpster view inside the dumpsters, then they're effectively other locations, but they're locations that don't include Clive and don't include the usual like third person, if you like, point and click thing. So just by having a couple of first person things to mix up the way it works, and it makes this act feel quite different to the other acts as well, and builds for just a different feeling bit of puzzling during this bit. So at the end of that puzzle chain, it seems to me I have now meant that I've got to draw a boot and all the items, two different dumpsters that are going to be based on the same dumpster basically, so not completely from scratch. We've got various animations that will be usable for him bending down. I'll just turn his back to the camera, have him bend down at the drain to get the dumpster keys out the drain. I need to draw the coat hanger aerial on his car. I need to add the ladder that I said I've realised I've forgotten from there as well. And then I suppose the big bit, the payoff, as I said earlier on, the reward to our players for having gone through this slightly ridiculous combination of items and things, for the comedy payoff of Clive stood on a monkey head on top of a car jack, pulling the car jack handle and raising himself up to reach this ladder. I mean, I'm definitely going to have to make the ladder shorter because it is going to be very close to it. The other big bit of work is, of course, an animation of Clive climbing on top of a car jack and jacking that up. So that's what I started this afternoon. I was that committed to doing this ridiculous puzzle that I began doing that this afternoon. Oh, for those who were on the last live stream, and I think I finished the last live stream 19, called Balls, 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 which is somewhere on the channel. Let's have a look. Live stream 19, Balls, Balls, Balls. That, at the end of it, I still wasn't totally happy with the colour. I've now kind of dialed in a colour scheme I quite like there. It's a little dark. I'm going to brighten it once I get into Unity with a couple of different lights and things, but it's feeling quite rich and stuff. There's going to be quite a lot going on in that scene when we get to it from the roof. So back to my chain of thought. Here is Clive with a carjack. So I started this, I've only got the first few frames of it done, and I think I'm going to, by way of kind of wrapping up everything I've said there in the first half an hour, you understand, I guess, the puzzle chain has resulted in all of this extra work that I need to do. And I don't really see it as extra work, I see it as work that is worthwhile to make this section of the game like fun to play, and more than just finding an umbrella in a bin and pulling the ladder down. That's just a cop-out, as I said, really. Could have done that, but not going to. So what I've done is, I know technically this is going to be tricky. I've purposefully avoided a couple of the animated bits, and on previous live streams I've said what I'm trying to do is block out the majority of the puzzles before doing a lot of the polish, and that's true. Like that, I've moved to different bits of the game so that I've got something to do on a Sunday on a live stream that isn't just me sat like scratching my head trying to work out something in Adventure Creator, or just drawing stuff in Airsprite. Saying that, I spent last live stream drawing a load of balls, so that's a lie. The point being that these little bits of polish are sometimes worthwhile spending a bit of time on, even if it slows me down getting to the end of the game. That when I do a bit of animation with the player character, there is a technical challenge to overcome, which those of you who are using Unity and Adventure Creator, doesn't matter what you're creating your graphics in. I've had the same issue when I created lots of stuff in Adobe Flash before, like vector-based stuff. Because the character sprite is being manipulated by Unity in terms of its scale. So if I go back, I'm just going to highlight what the problem's going to be here. So this walkable area has got scaling on the character sprite. So that isn't the default size of Clive. He's quite a bit bigger than that. When he's over here, he's a little bit bigger, and we use that scaling thing, which I've gone through quite a few times to get Clive's size right. I've made him a bit small here because I'm just going to try and do this lazily and just make him smaller, but I need to redraw that ladder so it's smaller and out of the way. So he's going to be stood here. I'm going to have to get rid of these bin bags. They're going to get moved somewhere else. I might actually use them once you've emptied the dumpster of a few things, that when you come back to this scene, it enables a load of bin bags, because I think that's quite nice as well if he's moving bags out the way in that first person scene, that you come back and there's bags everywhere. So we need a bit of clear space here, but the character sprite is being animated. You've seen me set up animations for him before for each of the directions and things. He's going to stand in a very particular location, and that sprite is going to be being scaled. At some point, I'm going to have to put the car jack on the floor, and the car jack's going to be an independent object that sits on the floor at a particular size. That's fine, but then when a scaled character sprite moves up to it and I click on use car jack, and then it's going to have to change to this animation. I'll just step through the frames. So he puts his hand on the handle at the back, lifts his back leg, steps up onto the car jack, and the car jack's got the monkey head on it at this point. So that little bit of animation there, so it's just looping through there, where he gets up onto the car jack. It didn't take me long at all because Clive's in little bits. I can just animate his arms independently and things. It's going to happen so quickly. He'll get up to there, and then, oops, I'll just stop that. I go up to there, and then I've put his back arm on the handle, like the jack handle, and it's just going to move a little bit like that. Again, not real life, you have to pull him all the way down, but he's just going to go like that with his left hand, and he's going to slowly work his way up, and it'll be funny, like it's going up, and we'll probably have a little squeaking sound as he's going up as well. So it's going to raise him up enough to just be out of reach of the ladder, so that you need the hook as well. All of that is going to be in one sprite, this character sprite. So there's a couple of different ways that I've got around this in the past, because the character sprite itself is being scaled. So I'll either have to change the character so that we're using a custom animation for Clive, and that whole sprite becomes the player character, including the jack and everything, that I then tell Adventure Creator to not let the user walk anyway. So effectively it's like in a cutscene, we take mouse control off them, or we don't stop them moving the mouse, but they can't click on anything. Maybe bring the black borders in so they know it's a cutscene, and we play that bit through where he jacks himself up to there, and then we give them control to try and reach the ladder and not be able to, and then have to combine these other two items that they'll have in their inventory at this point to make the little hook. So we either end up, this becomes, like this whole thing with the jack becomes the character sprite and we don't let people move it, or we hide the character sprite completely. And this is like a separate animated object. So there's a couple of different ways around it, but none of them are straightforward, especially because everything's getting scaled because of where it is. So me lining up the exact size of Clive and like a custom object will be tricky. So it's probably better to go with the idea of swapping out his character sprite to be him and the jack. But I think that's probably a live stream in its own right when I come to actually sort that bit out. Getting the animation done, getting all these other puzzle bits done is stuff that I can do first. But I guess, as I was saying, this wants to be like a bit of a comedy payoff for the player. So it's kind of got to look good. So I'll work out exactly how that's going to work and what we're going to do with it off stream. Is this a locked one? Oh, I haven't actually set up these yet. Yeah, so a lot of this stuff it still needs working in there. What I'm going to jump to now is finishing off this bit of animation, and then we'll actually have that bit done where he kind of extends upwards. So you can see I've made his sprite taller than it was, but I have kind of, this first frame is the exact same frame of Clive's standing facing right animation. So when I swap the character sprites out, the registration point's at the bottom of Clive, in the middle of this, like right down that middle line. So it shouldn't jump when I swap him out. And if I'm just swapping him out, this will also get scaled by the same amount because the character won't move. So I'm hoping it's going to be seamless when we swap between the proper Clive sprite and this sprite. So that's the thought process. What we want to do here then is have him start pumping the jack. And I really don't know how I'm going to do this. I haven't fully thought this out. I think what we might have to do is just do the handle first and then match his hand to it. So I've put the handle on a separate layer when I drew it. I think I'll just do, is it Alt and B? It isn't Alt and B. One of the shortcuts. Duplicate Alt and D. Alt and D. So I worry that rotating this, because it's 2 pixels thick, it's going to look a bit of a mess. But I suppose we don't have much choice, do we? So let's have a look at the rotation tools. So I think if we just marquee select it, got a couple of things. We've got fast rotation or rot sprite. I don't pretend to know what rot sprite is, but I think, yeah, so you see the issue is there's so few pixels to play with. It's going to look pretty rubbish in each direction, but there's not much we can do about it. So that's using rot sprite. Fast rotation is the other option, which is maybe a little bit better. It doesn't need to be fantastic, but because it's kind of behind him anyway. And actually I need it to, I don't want to rotate it around the middle, I want to rotate it around this bottom bit. Can you do that? Rotation pivot. So does that rotate around the pixel bottom? No, it's selection bottom. Well, we're learning, as always. Let's say you don't learn things on this live stream. So what we want to do is we want to select it right to the, as close as we can to the bottom anyway. So it rotates around the bottom. So he's going to push it forwards. I think it may be like that is one frame. Let's just turn on the onion skin. So duplicate that one. I know what I'm going to end up doing here. I'm going to end up drawing each of these independently anyway. I'm going to have to tidy them up. So it's just going to move like that far, I think. With his arm just coming out and moving that, so we just want a bit of motion on it. So let's try and tidy this. I mean, it's kind of got to be diagonal. His hand's going to cover some of it. So I don't need to worry a huge amount about how the top of the handle looks. But yeah, we're dealing with a small amount of pixels. My watch telling me to stand up, saying I've been sat down for too long. As a surprise. So can you set? I'm just looking to see if you can choose how many onion skins to do. How do you turn that off? Oh, just click away. They're evenly spaced, aren't they? But the handle wouldn't become any longer. So going like that. Hello, I make internet dev. Nice to meet you. I think, yeah, you may have been commenting on some of the videos recently. Thanks very much for your support, by the way, for subscribing and things. No problem at all. I enjoy doing these. I'm certainly no aficionado, but I've made enough of these, or attempted to make enough of these. Hopefully the things that I've learned and the mistakes I've made, you can all learn from them and not make the same mistakes. This live stream is a typical example of probably a massive mistake I'm about to make, which is to give myself a huge amount of extra work, all in the name of quality, in doing something that is not the simple thing to do and something that should be worthwhile in the end. So this last bit of this then I think is whether we go back or he's just pumping it forwards. I think he's probably just going to pump it forwards. We'll see how it looks, and then we can always do some back frames instead. I only learned today that this little thing here, I don't know, you can see that on the live stream, it's a tiny little icon next to the layer. You can use Alt and M to extend a frame so that, like for example, the jack here, it'll extend the frame across all of these frames, so you can edit just the first frame and it will, like, I forgot what they called it. What do they call it? It's called linked. So you can link frames so that they're, it's like an instance across all of those frames. And then when you want it to be different, like I did there, you do Alt B to get a new frame in there. So all Sprite tips. I said when I started this game, I had never ever used Sprite. I hadn't even heard of it, to be honest. I was just looking for something to do pixel art in because I fancied having a bash at some pixel art. And yeah, really enjoyed it. And it was dirt cheap. Sprite is worth every penny. I think it was like $20 or something like that. I know there's a free version of it somewhere, but I thought well worth paying the developers because incredible bit of software, really. I'm basically putting this off, aren't I? Let's turn Clive back on. Let's turn the onion skins off. So it's this backhand, and luckily this setup of Clive, I've got all his bits are separate, so the back arm is in the right layer order and things. So I'm going to see how much I can get away with just moving it. So we'll, one thing I don't quite understand about Sprite, when I select all of these, if I go Alt V, I don't know what that does. It puts in a blank frame. I think I have to drag them. I still got the right frames there. I think so. And the jack's going to start moving up from this point as well. So we're going to be redrawing and moving the jack up each time. So this needs to be a separate frame. How did I create a separate frame last time? Duplicate Alt and D, that's it. So frame 13, unlucky for some. So his arm needs to move down to meet that. So let's grab his arm. It's gonna look weird. He's gonna have a super long arm as well, which is gonna have to make the handle longer, aren't I? I've already cocked it up. Yeah, the handle's gonna have to be longer. Oh well, you'll get to see a linked frame. So we're gonna have to make that handle longer, otherwise he's gonna be really reaching for it and it'll look really weird. So longer handle, that should be the same for all of them frames. And then this one, we're gonna have to extend that. Otherwise he's gonna be reaching a mile for it. So his hand's going to cover some of this single pixel weirdness there. And there are certainly better pixel artists than me out there. I've been following a lot of them, and a couple I can recommend. Maybe they'd recommend me back. Who knows? I've forgotten what he's called now. Is it Alex Draws? I'll be on my subscriptions somewhere, I would have thought. Subscribe to far too many different people here. Is it Alex Draws? Maybe it isn't. Down here somewhere. Nope, can't find him. I'll find out and send you a link because his stuff's excellent. He's a proper pixel artist. Really, really good. Yeah, it is worth a look. A lot of the Sprite things I learned were from his channel as well. So Always give a shout out to somebody else who's making great stuff. Right, so let's try this again then. So the arm needs to reach out there. We're going to delete off the bits of arm that make it look strangely thick and weird, but maybe not that much. That's the fella, Adam C. Eunice. Did I say Alan Draws? I can't remember what I said now. Alex Draws, that was it. Yes, that is the fella. I will click that link and let's share that on the stream. Yes, Indie Tales, Adam C. Eunice. I might have mentioned him before. His stuff's excellent, like really, really good pixel art tutorials. So yeah, give him a like and a follow. He's got 284,000 subscribers. I wouldn't mind a little bit of that, Adam. So yeah, I've mentioned him, have I, Chris? Thank you. Yeah, check him out. His stuff's really good. Some really good tips, and as I say, far, far more accomplished pixel artist than me. This is the first pixel art I've done in, God, maybe a decade, if not more, maybe 20 years. Since the Amiga, if anyone's old enough to remember the Amiga 500. Remember that, Chris? Is that? Yeah, no, it's good. Yeah, Adam's stuff is fantastic. Yeah, the pixel art I last did, I think, Deluxe Paint on the Amiga. I think I've mentioned this before on a stream, that it's been a long time since I did any. Right, so even these two frames, this little pump action is kind of funny. I like the idea of him just keeping like a straight face as it gets pumped. But let's get the third one in as well. I think the third one's going to be enough. And he might need to lean slightly into this, but let's have a look. Extend that. I've just thought of something. I think I thought of this before, and you're probably thinking of it now on the live stream. As he gets higher, he's obviously going to have to bend down more and more to reach the handle. So short of having a massive handle, he is going to have to bend as he goes, which is going to be a huge amount of extra effort. So let's just get on with it. It's funny. It's going to be worthwhile, and you just stick at it. Right. So this all needs cleaned up. If anyone in the chat has got a good idea about how not to have him bending down and reaching for this, I mean, that looks obscene. God, what have I done? Why have I done this? Do you know what we might have to do? I didn't think of the real. I would mention about real world earlier on, and not having to worry too much about the real world. But this is going to be a problem, isn't it? It's going to be, because as he gets higher and higher, the handle doesn't get higher. We're going to end up with something real weird going on. So the other type of jack, trying to think on my feet now. The other type of jack, you wind, don't you? So the handle stays the same length, and you wind it, and it jacks further up. Could we do? Maybe. Hello, Patrick. I'm hoping you're coming. Steel pipe to extend the handle. Yeah, thanks for joining the channel, first of all. And yeah, I then begin to think, if you had a big steel pipe that was long enough to extend the handle, then wouldn't you just grab the ladder with it? Coming back to the fact this ladder's too low, it's going to be 4 rungs high, so it's going to be right up there. Oh, got a little wavy hand. Yeah, so by accidentally giving somebody an item that would solve the problem in a much simpler way, we get away from the humour element of it. But this is all fun. We're going and working this out at the right time. I mean, Clive, the kind of guy that Clive is, let's get back to the character of Clive. When he is in the office earlier on, is the kind of guy who likes a gadget. He talks about this water cooler in glowing terms. What does he say? The pinnacle of refreshment and the ideal place to gather and discuss pressing topics of the day. He starts talking about it. The dispenser. With the option of room temperature or chilled water, the ZX270 really is a premium water cooler. So perhaps he's got one of them car jacks that's an automatic one. I mean, using his feet to push the hand. Oh, right, okay, yeah. So he could like kick it. Yeah, no, yeah, that's possible. It might look a bit weird. I don't know how I didn't think about the fact that he was going to go beyond the handle. But here we are. Maybe can you get electric car jacks? You must be able to. Let's have a look. Electric car jack. Me struggling for answers on Google. Hydraulic trolley jack with a little remote control. You press it and it goes up. You can get them on bloody Amazon. Of course they exist. Look at that. It's got a little cable and a button. I mean, I was talking about cop-outs earlier. Electric car jack, are they worth the investment? Let's have a look. We're all learning together. I mean, if there's any car mechanics out there, tell me. There you go, that's cool, isn't it? Look, it's just got a cable. Just got a cable. Wonderful. I think Clive might be getting a top of the range electric powered car jack. This is live game development. This is what you do when you suddenly realise you've made a rod for your own back or a jack for your own back. I mean, if I was, as Patrick just suggested there, if I was to animate this with his foot, would that be funny? I mean, I can't believe I didn't really think about this. That's what happens on a Sunday when you're not paying attention. I mean, how high is he going to go? I suppose that's something we need to think about. Let's extend out these frames. We're going to end up duplicating that. So it's kind of those 3. So these 3 frames, if I do Alt-D, does it duplicate them in 3s? Did that duplicate in 3? Yes, it did. Duplicate another 3. So that's 3 pumps, 4 pumps. Maybe that's all it needs to be. So how high are we going to go? We're going to power through and see what this looks like. and see if we can just have him bend over and bend over and bend over, so he's like reaching out for it by the time he gets there. Because of course he could also bend his legs. What have we got? Other animations we've done. So we've got Clive, pick up, or bend. I think all the bends go in the other direction. Chris, you might just have solved it. Why don't we just have the handle attached to the platform that he's going up on? Not realistic. And I love your last bit of the sentence, but it is a game after all. I mean, that's the simplest way, isn't it? You're all getting to see me panic as I try and work out a way to do this. Ultimately, when someone comes to play the game and puts the car jack down and it goes like that and goes up, then yeah, they're probably not going to think about that. What's that alternative idea? Put a scissor lift there, make the player find the key. Yeah, it's like I'll just redraw a scissor lift instead. Right, no, I think we're going to stick with this. I like your idea, Chris. That might be the way to go. Let me just look at. So I did Clive bends, but he's bending his legs, but he's doing it from the front. What else have we got? Pick up right. I think it's desk height pickups, isn't it? Yeah, the grabs then. So yeah. I mean, you've got to promise me, the 4 or 5 people who are watching the stream at the moment, when this game finally comes out at some point, that you'll write a Steam review and you'll mock this part of the game, saying, I mean, decent game, if it turns out to be a decent game, but the one bit that spoiled it for me was when the car jack, unrealistically, the handle was attached to the platform. That's what I want to see. I want to see somebody take the piss out of this piece of animation that was wholly unrealistic. Or I could just make the handle longer and longer as he... I'm more like laughing because I can't understand why I didn't think of this at the time. He could bend his legs. Could bend his legs as he goes up, couldn't he? I mean, there's a load of different... I can't stop laughing at the fact that I didn't even think about it. I could have him like in a squat at the start, so he climbs onto it and he gets in a squat, and then he starts pumping it and basically effectively stands up as he does it. God, why did I do this? Right, let's move the handle. Let's actually grab the handle, move it to there. Put his hand on the handle to stand up, don't I? So copied all them frames needlessly. Let's get rid of all of them. Delete. Yeah, he doesn't want to be forward. I think it's just funnier with one arm going. Like, if he moves his body realistically, I think it misses some of the humour. So let's grab all of them. Let's copy them across to there so he doesn't... Oh, what have I just done? Undo. All of them frames across to there. You can see my indecision about where this handle should go. It also like kind of needs to make sure it visually reads as a handle as well. That what's confusing me is I've got all right. We're doing it. Thank you, Chris. Chris Bandbites Games, the tag there, is a regular viewer of the stream and a regular helper with problems like this, where I have some kind of stupid oversight and then someone sensible puts me right. So thank you, Chris. We're going with that, and you will get a mention in the credits for helping me to avoid disaster. There is going to be, actually, worth mentioning, we're on live stream 20. There will be the opportunity for those people who've really been really supportive of the channel and come regularly to live streams and things like that. YouTube has some kind of supporter thing that I think I can award supporter badges or something or other to people. There's going to be some opportunities in the game to have some people's gamer tags or names and things mentioned. So if anyone's interested in that, please do drop a comment in there or send us a message, and there'll be an opportunity. There's going to be like a customer book with customer names in, and then I'll be doing a live stream in maybe a couple of weeks' time where I'd like loads of suggestions as well for some names of products, which again, kind of do this on live streams, get people involved in having input into the game. There's been loads of bits and pieces that people have suggested great things for, so I'm really appreciative of all those little extras, and hopefully it's fun for you people as well, that you'll get to see those little suggestions turn up in the final game. Right, there we go. We've basically just physically made an impossible jack, but we're all happy that that's what we're going to do, and nobody's going to bring it up on Steam in review. That's if I do decide to use Steam for releasing this. I probably will, just because it's the best platform to get it out there. I've got some stuff on itch as well, but I think the time and effort that I've put into making this, it's probably worth doing a proper Steam release for it. And certainly I'm wanting it to have the quality that you'd expect from that. Right, so there we go. We've got the little pump arm thing. It reads like a little pump. What we just need to do is start sending him upwards each pump, really. So there's like 3 frames to it. I'm just not sure with this extended frame. Can you unlink 1 frame? You can. Brilliant. Unlink. Excellent. So we've got that little run of 3. Let's tag that as pump. from 12 to 14. Okay. So I need to duplicate these. So each link them. So each of these pumps, I think the first one is where it was. The next one will go up 1 pixel, and the one after will go up 2 pixels. I think it'll then give it like a little, I mean, talking a few pixels, it'll give it a nice little bounce, I think. So what we want to do is we want to lock, well, the base is going to stay there and this bit's going to go up. So it's going to be a bit of manual, and then all of everything else is going to travel upwards. So first pump, nothing. Second bit, everything moves up 1 pixel. So we want to, I'm just trying to think what I'm doing here. We're going to cut this off. We're going to move that bit of the jack up 1 pixel. We'll have to fill in this little black bit at the bottom on that frame, and then on the next frame we're going to move it up 2 pixels. I think it might have actually been 3. Yeah, let's just come down 1, I think. I don't want it to be too fast. So actually it's just going up 1 pixel at a time like that. It's fine. We'll fill in the black bit at the end because we should be able to do it quicker, repeating it. And then obviously everything else has to move up. So on all of that, do you know what? The handle doesn't have to be behind it now. I can move it in front, which will make it easier to select all of these, because I was going to have to select some things separately. I need to unselect that. Take off auto select layer, grab all of them, and then shift them all up. Oh, actually that handle, I'll do all this and I'll swap the handle around. I've just realised the pixels of the hand, let's just delete them. I'm talking to myself now. That. Nope, Egypt. All of this needs to move up. Just trying to think as I go here. So that's flat, up, up. Let's fill in the gaps on the black thing. The black thing, the piston. Make it sound like I know what I'm talking about. The guy who didn't realise a handle isn't connected to the platform of the jack until it was too late. So when he brings the handle back towards himself, it's not going to go up. So it's a kind of the reset of it. And then when he pushes it away, it goes up again. It's probably the other way around, to be totally honest. It's probably when you pull it forwards, but hey ho, we've already got an unrealistic jack. Let's continue. So his, oh, I shouldn't have moved him up, should I? This, I'm trying to think the most sensible way to have animated this. And I don't think this was it. Because we want his arm to come back. So we want this frame. I want to copy that to the next frame, but it all needs to be one frame, 1 pixel higher, because his arm's coming back but he's not moving. I'm trying to think if I should do like a double pumper forward and back, paste that, and then do all the heights afterwards. Yeah, I think that's probably the most sensible way to do it, so I'm not altering the heights each time. Because at the moment it's like there, 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 and then back. Back, and it's going to come back to there. So I need all of them and the handle. Copy them to that new frame. They all need to go up to, is it the same height there? So now you've got like a, always jumps to the start. It's going to be worth it, this. It's going to be very worth it. So that little motion, we want to get that copied again. So there's probably other ways of doing this, but I'm not that au fait with all of Sprite's shortcuts. So like here's another pump, pump, pump. That and that and that and that. So just check that out. So it's that, forward, back, forward. Okay. Yeah, this is the thing, Chris. Nobody will think about it. It'll work fine in the game. And also nobody will realise that it took this long to make that decision whilst panicking on a live stream, that you'd just made a terrible decision. And thankfully people are around to protect me from myself. So that's probably going to be enough pumps to get him up, thinking about how far he's travelled already. Kind of want to get him roughly at the top of this frame and not any further, obviously, otherwise he'll be off the frame. So maybe we just do it with the platform and then we'll get him to join it. So then that frame will stay the same for 3 pumps as he brings his hand back, and then when he pumps back up he'll travel up and then he'll do nothing. So we want to copy, yeah, we're going to need at least another pump, so we're going to have all of them frames. Duplicate them, Alt and D. Good guess. So it stays at that height, and then we're going to go up, up, up. So Alt and D to duplicate that, unlink it, because we want these frames to be different. So get the marquee, chop it out, go 1 frame there, duplicate that. Oh, Cannot modify the sprite. It's being used. Oh, right, okay. Don't like that. Duplicate it first. Unlink it. Marquee it. Move it up one more. Is that correct? So up, up. Did I just go 2 frames before? So up, up. So when it's flat, it's fine. Up, up. It's flat, it's level, and then it goes up, up. Yeah. So then we just need to move all of these up for those 2. And I've got auto select layer off, so I can select all of the cells. And when I click on here to drag it, it doesn't then just select his trousers. So I've learnt that lesson now. Select all of them. So he's getting higher. Okay. And then he's going to be static for that. He's static for 3, isn't it? Just make sure he's high enough there on it. So it's pump, 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 pump. Something's happening with the handle. What is happening with the handle? Cut off. Was it like that before? No, it wasn't. What have we done? Got a gap in the bottom of the handle. I don't understand how that happened. Let me drag the handle into... Yeah, handle's in Clive's thing. I don't understand what has happened. I must have chopped out the bottom of the handle at some point. And now that is rubbish, isn't it? I think we're getting some weird graphical glitches going on here. Right, we're just going to have to crack on with this. I think I'm just going to animate the platform so we can see what we're doing, and then I'll have to fix the handle in a minute. Something's gone wrong there. I think what's been happening is this marquee, I've been maybe grabbing other stuff with it. Doesn't like it when that's selected. No. So ignoring the handle and everything else is the jack doing what I expected it to do. Let's just extend that to the end. What is the last frame? 28. 12 to 28. Okay. Yeah, so that is kind of moving in the way I expected it to. And it's getting him, really, if I stop that at 28. Right, just beyond that bottom grey thing, realistically, it's getting him like hip height. So it's extending the height of him by a full square, which is exactly the extra that we've got there. So his head will be pretty close to the top, which is ideal. I just need to find out how I've messed up this handle. Given that I started by making sure the handle was right. I don't know why it's all the way up there. That's the issue, I think. I think when I've copied one of the frames, I've moved it all up. It's because I moved it into the folder with Clive, I think. Yeah, Clive's in a separate folder here, so I could hide him and just work on the jack. And I think I moved the handle into there, and then when I've moved him up, it's shifted the handle up as well. See, that handle's now two, three, two, that should be. Yeah, so I hadn't chopped the bottom of the handle, I'd just moved it up in the wrong time. So I'm just making sure these are all at the correct height. And now we've got the platform correct. We can just match all these to the platform, and we'll do Clive last. This is going to be one of those animation tasks where I'll go to bed tonight and I'll go, why did I do it like that? Why didn't I just... I think it's partially just because I'm not that comfortable with Airsprite. It's not something I've used much. And I mean, I used to do everything in Flash, Adobe Animate and things, and it was just so handy in terms of keyframe stuff. So you could drop down like these linked things that they've got in Airsprite are fine, but in Flash you could basically make part of your character a component and have that component use kind of blended keyframes and then have individual keyframes inside those components. So stuff like this would have been just so easy. I would have just made a component that was the jack and then used keyframe animation to move the character up, who would just be going like that, like inside that sprite. So like nested sprites and stuff. It's called Adobe Animate now. It used to be called Adobe Flash. Yeah, animated in that for years, and it really powerful. And it's sad to see that kind of fall by the wayside. I don't think it's even available anymore, is it? Adobe Animate? Find out. Adobe Animate CC 2023, 2024. Maybe you can still get it. It is excellent. A new age for animation. Oh, it's vector based, by the way. It's not pixel art. But it was incredibly powerful when I used to use it years ago. So you can get it, but it's Adobe expensive, and it looks like there's absolutely loads of other stuff in it now. I mean, yeah, all of these kind of tweens and stuff like that, the timeline in it was just so good for working with. Yeah, I mean, you're right, Chris. It's like their products are excellent. I mean, I use all of their products, but I use it at work, basically. I don't pay the licenses for my personal projects, but then I don't use it on my personal projects. That's why I've got Sprite and Venture Creator and things. But yeah, they are kind of best in class, but monthly payments of like that kind of amount is just not really open to most indie devs. It's too much really to be considering. But yeah, I do miss using. I've not used it for years. Anyway, little aside. It would have meant this would have been done in half an hour. But hey ho, not the style we're going for. Let's stick at it then, because I didn't expect this live stream to just be Clive on a carjack. Hopefully some of you saw the start of the live stream, which was about exactly what I said it was going to be about, which was the puzzle chain that has led me to this ridiculous piece of animation. So get him on there. Oh, handler's locked. Yeah, it's another little tip there. I think, oh, maybe my camera's in the way actually. Down here, when something is going wrong or something's just happened, like I try to move that. Oh, I'm working now. Because the handle was locked, I went to move it, it complained. And the little blue thing flashes up down here, little notification telling you what's wrong, which I only just noticed the other day as well with Sprite. Right, I think we're almost there. Right, yeah, looking good. Let's fill in the piston on each of these jack frames. That's the last one that was full. Oh, brush. Make it a bit bigger. One click. Next. One click. One click. Right, that looks like we've kind of got it roughly. Fingers crossed. So enter, it climbs up, bump, bump, bump. There we go, bump, bump, bump. Have I got one of these wrong? Yeah, oh god, there's one of them. It's like, there, it does a weird thing at the end. That's annoying. I've messed one of the orders up, I think. So, forward, middle, back, middle, forward. Yeah, it's back here. Forward, middle, forward. That's meant to be a back. So the handle is meant to be back on that one. I've got it forward, forward, middle, forward. That should be back. Back. So the hand needs to be back as well. I don't know what I've done there. It's got so complicated and confusing, that whole process. I think that's it. Still got a weird little... It's gonna annoy the crap out of me, that, unless I fix it. What have I done? Let's talk through them all. So that's back, middle, forward, middle, back, middle, forward, middle, back, middle, forward, middle, back, middle, back, or middle. I've got one extra one in there. So back, middle should be forward. Just delete that whole thing, I think. Back, middle, forward. No. That's correct, the animation. Apologies if you're all screaming at the screen going, I can see what you've done wrong. Something weird's happened with the handle again. The handle has lifted up again. And it's way off the thing. And I don't understand why. Yeah, I'm glad you're laughing, Chris. I'm laughing too. Why is the handle jump from there to there? I've got a feeling it's this linked frames thing. I'm going to unlink the frames because I don't trust what's going on. It's driving me insane. Unlink them. I think I'm moving a frame somewhere and it's moving somewhere else. Because it's fine up to there. And then it suddenly jumps up in the air. I'm blaming this on airsprite. This is not... I also don't know why there isn't, like in other bits of software, if you use the cursor keys, you'll be able to move that item about, but there doesn't appear to be a way to do that. I'm holding control, that doesn't do anything. You have to drag them down rather than just hitting the cursor keys. I have no idea why all these are moved. I mean, you are all my witness. I've already done this once and they've all moved again. And I have no idea why. That's no excuse. That's no excuse, Chris. You should be telling me exactly what I've done wrong. How dare you get on with your own game? Right. Hang on, it's done again. It has, it's done it again. I've literally just fixed it all. I've just seen me move this. What is going on? I've just moved this down to there. Oh my lord. I don't know what's going on anymore. Right. My God, right, you're all my witness. I've just moved all the frames. I've come back to it and it's done it again. I have no idea what's going on. Are these linked in some way to something else? I'm clicking on link on all of them, but I don't think it's doing anything. You can link cells, frames within a layer to share the same image data and show change to one update. Yeah, but I've unlinked them. I've literally clicked unlink on all of these. These ones are linked. I think what we're all learning here is don't use the bloody... Don't use linked cells unless you totally understand what the hell's going on. Right. Get all these frames on the screen. All of these. Right click, unlink. All of these. Right click, unlink. Yeah, I mean, I did it so that I didn't have to put individual frames for each of them. Like kind of going back to my Adobe days, I think that's just like how you would have done it. Because all these frames here, like, I didn't need individual frames for them. So for the third time, and hopefully the final time, I'll move this handle down to meet the thing on every frame. Right, that seems to have fixed it. Seems to have fixed it. Where's Adam when you need him? I might I'll go and stick a link on it. Go and stick a link on Adam Z. Eunice's YouTube and say you should help this Andy out. He's useless at air spray. He could probably do with a couple of hours of tutorials for free. That'd be handy. Okay, right. Yeah, he'll be busy. turn Clive back. And this is where Clive's buggered up as well, isn't it? Get on. Whee! Right. Okay. We've got what we need there, I think. I'm relatively happy with that. I can see that frame I don't like because there's an individual pixel there. I know I'm being picky, but they just stand out a mile, those little gaps. Right, done. I think that's done. I think we've got that. What time are we on? 9:30. That has been 2 hours. Well, quite a different to what I expected in this live stream. I didn't expect to be spending quite so long on that car jack thing or panicking about how a car jack works, but we are where we are. So just, I guess, a very quick recap, because I'm going to have to call it a day at some point. Please do go back and watch the live stream from the start if you can. It really helps if things are watched all the way through, even if, as Chris is, you are cracking on with something else. Then the algorithm these days is all about whether someone watches the entirety of your video rather than tuning out after 2 minutes. So at the start I talked a lot about the puzzle chain itself and why, funnily enough, I felt it was worth going to the lengths of doing this bit. There's a lot more to do in that puzzle chain, which, whilst that looks like I made up that image for the community post I put on earlier on, it's actually true. Those coloured lines are all the things that get used in this puzzle chain. So, spoiler alert, as I mentioned earlier, coat hanger, which is the car aerials used in the drain to grab the keys for the dumpster. The dumpster that's locked, the left-hand side dumpster. When you're in that left-hand side dumpster, you find the wooden monkey head, which is like one of these with a broken ear, which is a nice solid platform that you can use to stand on the car jack. If you open this one, you will get the broken broom handle. It's not quite long enough to reach the ladder, which is why he says maybe there's something in the boot that will help with that. So you go to the boot of the car and you get the car jack. You place the car jack on the floor. You place the monkey head on top of the car jack to give you a platform to stand on, and then you get onto it, jack it all the way up to the top, and then you take the coat hanger that you've still got in your inventory from getting the keys out the drain, you add that to the broken broom handle, which wasn't long enough without the car jack, and then you can hook the ladder, pull it down and climb onto the bloody roof. That is the entire puzzle chain for that section. There is obviously a lot more to do in Adventure Creator and with some other objects and things. Not least, there will be a live stream soon when I am drawing the inside of the boot of a car and inside 2 different dumpsters. That is for another night, I believe. So thank you very much, as always, for joining, particularly tonight, the new people, Patrick DeMarta and I Make Internet Dev. Don't need to know your real names. If you prefer it, then do let me know, because our regular viewers, Bandbike Games, who is Chris, and there's sometimes another guy called Kyle on as well, always provide excellent advice and guidance, and in particular the ideas that people put forward today. I did nearly, I think it was Patrick who suggested, have it his foot kicking it, and I think whilst I could have done that, it probably would have took the same amount of time. There's something, I don't know, there's something innately funny about someone just stood there pumping a thing with their hand. I find it amusing. I hope other people do too. So thanks again. Please like, subscribe, please leave a comment on the videos as well. The algorithm is weird these days. If I'm to get more followers, then yeah, people need to put comments on the video. People need to let them run to the end and things like that. So I appreciate all of the activity that's been tonight. Hopefully, let me think forward to next week, next Sunday. Oh, there might be the opportunity to do a really long live stream next Saturday. My wife happens to be out at a hen do for most of the afternoon. So if I've got the opportunity to work on my game on Saturday afternoon, I might actually just live stream 3, 4, 5 hours of it, and just whichever bit I'm doing at the time. So stay tuned, look on the community feed. I'll usually put a comment on there a couple of hours before I'm about to go on live stream, so do check it Saturday afternoon possibly, but otherwise hopefully Sunday evening, usual kind of time. So thanks again everyone, thanks for tuning in, fantastic having you all here, and have a nice work week if that's what you'll be doing. And, cheers, see you all later, bye.